You can't hear me? Sweet. Alright, cool. Kind of hectic. I've been running around a little bit. Alright, people. So, we talked a little bit about threat modeling last time. We talked about Pandicos. You doing homework or something? What you doing? C++ multi-threading. So all right. So what we did is we kind of went over this stuff. We went over scripting. We created a script. We saved the results. We saved results to this file here. I've been playing around with something pretty cool, and I wanna show y'all. All right, so basically we talked a lot about DNS and why DNS is important. We talked about some ways that it can be compromised and stuff like that. We talked about IP version. So next thing, I think we talked about DNS a lot. One of these things I want to cover real quick is, like, I showed y'all old school. Basically we created this script right here. There's actually a new school way to do this, and I've been playing with this a little bit, so I want to show y'all this. So, actually, another thing is I want to do is we definitely want to be covering the Security Plus stuff, but just in my head, and I'll have to go over the terms and stuff, but I think we covered probably a lot of the Security Plus stuff so far. So just look at it. Just look at it. So this is the Network Plus. And let's go into this download folder. I've been checking out other people's Twitch channels. I don't know if it seems like I'm trying to be more structured than most of those, but I guess I'm trying to teach a topic. Most of the Twitch stuff I be going on to, people just be hanging around and talking. It's just like, and I feel like I'm trying to instruct. I'm like, am I doing Twitch wrong? What do y'all think? All right, cool. I was like, man, this is they were tripping me out. All right, sweet. All right, cool. So as long as everybody, we got a whole squad of people here that's feeling it. So the people that we're trying to, basically in life you got a certain, kind of group of people that's gonna follow, and I know that I'm not for everybody. I'm crazy as a muck. Dogs breaking in the room. But yeah, so thank goodness y'all loving this. Let's just go. I'm gonna do some technical command line stuff. Oh, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do something that's dope. We're gonna actually look at OS Query tonight. We're gonna install OS Query. If y'all trying to do in the background, right? So OS Query is kind of hot, and it's what everybody's doing. OS Query is written by Facebook, and it's another thing to put on your resume. So what's cool about OS Query is I'm going to kill two bugs. I'm going to kill two things with one stone. Now let's look at the Network Plus. Now I could have swore there was like database and like SQL injections and stuff on here. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it was something about database or something like. Was it on here or was it on another one? Do y'all see? Whoa. Y'all see SQL on here somewhere? This is terrible. Let me blow this up. I could have swore I saw SQL somewhere. Is it on the first like protocols type thing? Could have swore I saw it. So anyway, so OS Query is pretty dope, and we're gonna take a look at it in a second. So what I like about OS Query is super hot. Oh, so they have SQL and Security Plus. Sweet, sweet. So this is gonna kill two birds with one stone. Because last class I showed y'all about scripting. This class I'm gonna show you like the new hotness, right? And OS Query is like kind of hot right now. A lot of security companies are talking about OS Query. A lot of people talking about OS Query. It was written by Facebook. It's a way to monitor. You can do those same things that I did to command line, but what OS Query does is it has all these different tables, and you can query it like traditional SQL, and it's like traditional SQL, but it's your operating system. So go ahead to download it, install it, and we'll get into it. All right, cool. So, and by the way, if the reason why I understand SQL injections, what I got like a little fruit fly, probably nuts too. All right, so let's look at this. I'm gonna look at these things real quick because I'm trying to make a transition. Trying to make this transition into the Security Plus. Dang, so I have covered many of these things. This is dope. This is awesome. All right, so I can actually use this. I can use this to teach straight off of too. It has a lot of good little talking points for me. So this is gonna be dope. I'm gonna go through that. I gotta cover DHCP, IP version 6, and I said firewalls here, and IDS IPS. We did like command line stuff. I'm thinking in my gut, we talked about DHCP. Is anybody confused about DHCP? They know what DHCP does. They want me to show you what DHCP does. Y'all want to go through that real quick? It's kind of important. All right. Because I think we covered pretty much all Network Plus, and I think that anything that I didn't cover, you can probably do it. Yeah. So, just for goodness sakes, I'm gonna cover. I'm gonna open up Packet Tracer one more time, and we'll get back to Packet Tracer when we talk about firewalls. I'm gonna thoroughly explain that too. But as far as Network Plus, I'm kind of tired of Network Plus. I don't know about y'all. All right. So in here, God dang it. Took a day off and I forget how to do everything. I'll get rid of the SA. All right. So in these machines right here, dang it. Hopefully this is not too complicated because I haven't did this in a long time. But you never know. Maybe maybe the old man will get lucky if I can remember username password. So I think this is admin. Wow, my dog is aggressively trying to get cuddles right now. I don't know if you can see her. This dog only comes to me when I get on here and stream. Hold on a second here. I gotta spell quarantine, right? All right. So if I remember correctly, a long time ago, I think there's a you can set up a DHCP pool in here, and this will just show you how quickly this works. So show. I'm gonna do a show run. We know what we set up all this stuff, but I think there's in here I should be able to create some DHCP pools, and sometimes in small sites, you might do this on a switch or router. Typically, this is done by Windows in a Windows domain. But if you don't have Windows domain, it's done by your internet router. So what happens is it comes online, and so dang, I think I'm going to use the right terminology here. I think I know what I'm talking about here. So you have this thing. This thing is a DHCP server. And so that server typically has what they call a pool of addresses. This is important to know, right? It has a pool. I've seen networks taken down because the DHCP pool was too small. So if you grow, if your pool's not big enough, you might have outages. So say if my pool is 10.2.2. And you can make this small. You can have a mixed network where you have static, and you can have static addresses, and you can have so let's just say the pool, we want to say 100 to 200 is going to be the pool. Now when the machine first comes on, it's going to have a fake bogus address, and this is just a temporary address. It's 169 something, typically. And this is, you have to catch this fast because when it first boots up, it's going to have this address. It's a special reserved address, and it's going to be 169 something. Oh, this is not the DHCP server though. And let me zoom out a little. Let me try to slide over here a little bit. God damn it, Bambi. Bambi's in the house again. Alright, so that's my DHCP server. And this is me and my laptop. So I come on to the network and I have 192. Whoa. Why is that not working? Oh my bad. What's the matter? I can't type in any characters. 192. That's weird. You know, I'm using a Mac. I got a Mac little Magic keyboard here, and sometimes it acts crazy on this Linux box. Every once in a while, if I'm doing I primarily work in a Mac environment, but if I'm working in a Linux environment, what I'll do is I'll change my keyboard so I'm not confused as much. Because certain things are different. So what we have here is when it first comes online, it's going to send, it's going to come online with this address. It's going to hit like a device, and this device we're going to say, for instance, this is an MLS. MLS stands for multi-layer switch. It's going to send it. It's going to send it out, and this router is going to know what 169 means. This switch. It knows that, hey, this is somebody doesn't have a real address, and I need to forward this to the DHCP server or whatnot. They don't have an address, so this address can't get to the internet. It can't get to any of that. So what the DHCP server does is it looks up and it looks to see the next address that it can allocate. The next address it can allocate, it sends it over there. And so say it does two things. So if 105 was available, it would give it that IP address. It gives it a lot of stuff. It gives it the address. It gives it the gateway, subnet, DNS, all that. And it even give a freaking name. It'll name it too. It can give it. Am I right with the name? Let's just go with that. It will give it a name in a sense because it'll take the host name and it'll tell it what domain it's on and all that stuff. So it's a lot of stuff. I'm gonna get rid of the name because I don't want to be totally confusing. It's not gonna be the host name, but it's gonna give it like a local addressable, a local DNS type name. So this machine is gonna get all the information. So what's gonna happen then? If you ever do ifconfig or ipconfig and it has this crazy address on there, that means your DHCP server is not working. This is all, understand these protocols will allow you to troubleshoot stuff. If you see that coming up, no, you're not hacked. That means that you don't have DNS. And I've seen 100% before, I've seen the DNS pool get depleted, and nobody else can get an address, and people can't figure it out. So, but if you see 169 address on some hosts, that means you ran out of space. And what you need to do is increase the pool. So say 20. Boom. So you got 20 more hosts in that pool. So that's one piece of it. So that's how it works. Now, with the router here, I think that you can set up DHCP pool on this router. And that's what we're going to try to do. That's what we're going to try. So everything making sense so far, family? How about reserve DHCP? What? Can you explain that question to me a little bit more? Yeah. So you can't assign these addresses. You should not assign them because then you might be you might have a problem, right? Oh, also also is interesting here is the actual what they call this is it's called a lease, and that lease can expire. That's important to remember. It gives a lease, just like you lease an apartment or something like that. That lease can expire. And then when that lease expires, what happens is it goes back to the DNS server. It goes back to the DHCP server. And typically what you'll see that it'll be like, all right, you can keep the address. You can renew that lease. Just like you renew a lease at an apartment. That makes sense? So somebody said Packet Tracer also won't let you do DHCP leases. Can you do DHCP in dang Packet Tracer? Can somebody answer that question for me real quick? You have to do static. All right, cool. So let's try to set it up. All right. I'm gonna go to Packet Tracer, but that's how it works behind the scenes, and that's very important to know. I think that these building blocks are very, very important to know. Oh, for me, long day for me. Somebody else. It's always a long day in Caryville. All right, so let's do this. CompT is short for configure terminal. And I think we can say something like IP and then look it up. Look at that. You see this right here? It says DHCP right here. DHCP. Question mark. Now what we need to do is we need to say a pool because we need to create a pool. And I'm going to say 3 because I know that VLAN 3 is on here. I'm just gonna name it that 3. Enter. Question mark to figure out what I need to do. Network. I'm gonna assign it to a network. 10.3. whoops, 10.3 dot, what is it, 10.1.3 or 10.3? What are we doing? What do we normally have here? Alright, 10.1.3. 10.1.3, and I'm gonna say 0, question mark, and it's giving us a mask here. So, 255.255.255, that's 0, enter, network. You know what? Network, no. Okay. Negate command set defaults. Is there a way to exclude the dang addresses off here? Alright. It looks like I can just put this in here. But is it, somebody asked me, is that an inverse network mask? It said network mask. I think I'm gonna go with this. Let's go with this, and let's go see what I typed in by doing a show run. It'll be in here somewhere. Is it in here? Y'all see it? I'm scrolling. Maybe up top. Alright, cool. It says there's a pool. So we're gonna have to assign this pool to a VLAN or interface. Dang it! And this is where I haven't done this in so long. I can't remember how to do it. So I think it's gonna be in the VLAN though. Hey, the pool can be anything you want to. What I would do is the pool can be anything you want it to be. Let me see something real quick. I'm trying to. All right, so somebody says I got this wrong, and that's definitely a possibility because I haven't did this in so long. Conf T, I'm gonna say no IP DET people to 3, enter, pool 3. So somebody's saying it should be an inverse network mask. Is that right? It should be an inverse mask. Is that right? So the inverse mask is when you do it like, I'm gonna do this again. An inverse mask is doing the opposite of this. It tells me you can't, that I was right. It tells me that you can't do that. Okay, cool. So we're gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna exit out of here. So basically what I was doing, if you look at this, first piece of it is assigning an address pool. I think we did that, right? I think that's what we did first, and then we have to assign it to tell it to. We have to tell it to what VLAN that you're going to use that DHCP pool to. That's what I believe. It's been a long time, but it kind of makes sense in my head. So let's see if we can do this. Conf T. Remember, know the basics, and hopefully you know enough so you can get it done. Like a Larry the Cable Guy? Get her done. Alright, so Bambi's annoying. Alright, so I think we have to go into the VLAN. So interface VLAN 3. Because what's going to happen? Anything on VLAN 3, hopefully this will give it an IP address. And that makes sense to me. So it says IP. I think it's going to be IP protocol. Dang, I don't know. So anybody got some answers in here? I don't see a damn anything related to DCP. Alright, cool. You know what I'm gonna do? Let's go back into here and see what all the options are again. Network mask option, default router. Let's set the default router. Because what's going to happen is remember I said it's going to send all this information. Default router is 10.1.3.1, I believe. I think that's all we need. Those two things. You see there's a couple more things related to domain, DNS server. I don't care about that yet until if we set up DNS, then I care about that. And we can go back and you can play around and figure it out. Now, I need to assign, I'm going to do a Google search. I ain't scared. So, assign VLAN to DHCP pool. How do you do that? How do you do this? I haven't done this in a long time. Alright. There's this thing called excluded addresses. That's a range right there. That's cool. The name of this VLAN, this pool, he named them VLANs after the VLANs. Is that all you have to freaking do? You have to create the VLANs, then for each VLAN create a DHCP pool. Make the VLAN 10, enter, name VLAN 10, then assign the VLAN to its required ports. Alright, that makes sense. Alright, cool. I think I got it. I think basically I think that, am I crazy? Is it saying that you have to you name the VLAN 10, and when you do the pool, you have to name it VLAN 10. Man, this is confusing as a mug to me. I haven't did this in a long time. So don't worry, people. This is sometimes you're gonna. So this guy right here says VLAN 1, VLAN 2. Is it automatically assigned to the VLAN? The pool is just the name. The pool is just the name. How do you assign the pool to the name VLAN? That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Dang. Does anybody have the answer? By the network address. That's it. By the network address of the VLAN. But it has the so what I'm saying is how does it associate the dang VLAN with the port though? You know what I'm saying, like there has to be a connection if you feel me. What I'm saying is show VLAN, right? This machine is on this port, right? On VLAN 3. Okay. Dang. I'm stuck here. So I'll figure this out and I'll come back to it. I don't wanna waste your time. I'll figure this out and I'll figure it out and get back. So basically, what I'm saying is, I don't know. I don't believe this is automatically gonna work. Well, this is VLAN 3 on here. So we know that we have a machine on VLAN 3 though, right? So hey, I might be surprised that it might work. VLAN 3, this is the machine. And here, I'm gonna say DCP, and it says it's requesting address. And that gummit, it worked. Well, why did that work? That's bad. That's bad because you know what sucks about that? You see that? It says 1. So we have to change. We have to do the excluded addresses. We got to do that excluded address. Wow. So it works by just knowing the IP address is on the VLAN, I guess. So whoever said that, they're right. So I need to do an IP exclude address. Let me go back and tell you what's going on here real quick though, just to catch everybody up. On this VLAN, I have an IP address. If I do show IP interface brief, it worked magically. It worked automatically. This VLAN, you see that? Oh snap! I'm good. I'm Gucci. Check this out. If y'all don't know, I'm Gucci means that's a hood term for I'm good. Right? So basically it knows that it's on the same subnet, right? So this is magical where it knows it's on that VLAN. When I did a show VLAN up here, it knows that this port's on that VLAN. So, and it also knows, it's just putting this together. It's been a long time. If I say show, you normally wouldn't set this up on a router, by the way, either. Show run. Because usually you have a Windows domain and that handles all the DHCP stuff. This is wrong though. I need to go back in there and change that. This should be 254. Because the router here is 254. So I need to change that to 254. So that is wrong. So let's go back in there. Hey, you know what? I think you learn, like, it's the whole Thomas Edison. It's probably an apocryphal story, but Thomas Edison, when they said, hey, you made this light bulb, you failed, so many times, did you get discouraged? He said, no, it's just, I found out, I failed, found out a lot of ways not to do it, right? You learn from your mistakes. Even though Thomas Edison, he sounded like he was a smart business guy, but he was not a nice person, I guess. That's how all the smart ones are, right? Alright, so CompT, IP, DHCP, pool 3, and I'm going to say the command that I'm looking for is then default router 10.1.3.254. I'm going to end. I'm going to go back over here. I'm gonna go back over here on this PC, and I'm going to say IP configuration. I'm going to switch back to DCP, and hopefully, yeah, cool, that worked. My default gateway is here. If I put a DNS server in there, I would get that and all that stuff too. So this is when it first boots up, and we didn't see that here. I wonder if I can do it fast enough for you to see it though. I wonder if I can do it fast enough. Probably not. I'm trying to see if I can, if this simulates the IP address I was talking about. Probably not. So I'm gonna click here, close, terminal. Whoops, not terminal. Command prompt. Definitely not now. ipconfig. Dang, can I do that fast? I can't do that fast enough. All right, maybe if I. All right, so basically, there's actually commands in here. I don't know if you could do it on here. There's actually some DHCP commands that you can do here. So there's a command. There's a. Let me get my. I think it's like a DHCP release command. IP config and renew or something like that. It's like something like that. Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's do this. Let's see if it might not work in the simulator, but it works in real life. All right. So we're gonna try it. ipconfig /renew, or does it say release? Oh, cool. That's dope. It worked. ipconfig. But all right, let me do a renew real fast. I'm trying to see if I can do this. Renew, enter. Crap. It's not all right. It's not showing you the 169. Now, you know what? Let me go to another machine that I know DHCP is not set up on to see if it gives you that result. That's why I love Packet Tracer. You get all kind of opportunities to try to mess around. All right, I'm going over here. This machine definitely doesn't have DHCP set up on it. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to say DHCP. There's no server set up, so it's impossible for this to get this address. There we go. You see that? Wow, this is freaking awesome. It's awesome. I love it because it's showing you. It's showing you a lot of stuff that you would have to have a big lab to do. And not only are you being able to imitate the routers and switches, but I love the fact that you can do the endpoint devices as well. So now if I type ipconfig, it shows you that. And that's exactly what I was talking about. It's a reserved address and all that stuff. So that's how DHCP works. That's how you set it up. And I'm really glad we covered that. So, everybody cool? Everybody like that? Good stuff? Y'all still there? Are y'all asleep? Alright, so what I need to do is I'm going to take a 5-minute break, and I'll be right back, and we'll cover some more stuff. Be right back, family. Oops. All right, so I'm back. Hold on a second. Can you hear me? Sorry about that. Took a bit longer. All right. Discovered DHCP pretty dang good. Then that's something we're going to be going back to. We're going to come back to firewall stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to consider Network Plus done. We're going to still be using Packet Tracer and all that stuff. But is that a deal? Network Plus is done? What do y'all think? Did we cook that bird? All right, sweet. And you'll be able to self-study. You'll be able to do all that stuff. You know. We've been now. I want to get to the security stuff. So let's dive in. Oops. I won't dive into that. Let's go into this document here. All right, let's start in the document. This is how we started Security Plus. We started Network Plus by doing this. So going over these terms. All right. Now, dang, what? I mean, so I'm looking at here. So viruses are some of this stuff is like, all this stuff could be considered what I call malware, right? And this, it says right here, types of malware. So a virus typically infects your system. The difference between a virus and a worm, these two, is usually a worm self-propagates. That's the big difference. I'm just kind of like not exactly riff, but I'm not really. I'm just gonna tell you what some of the key concepts here are to me. Basically, a rootkit. People used to talk about rootkits basically a lot. A rootkit is typically when it's undetectable, essentially to old school, to any kind of thing, right? So there's a really famous book, and I got it on my bookshelf back there on rootkits. So I'm not sure. Like you can maybe go with, and maybe it's an updated version of it. But this book right here was like the Bible on rootkits. It's by Craig Holland and Jamie Butler. This right here is who was it published by? Addison Wesley. So Rootkits is a book. If you want to know more about rootkits, it's very famous, and like basically it said that subverting the Windows kernel. So essentially, you're hiding the Windows operating system can't even see it itself. The operating system, a rootkit is like stealthy and you can't see it. A keylogger, of course, is just what it says. And what you may see on different things, spyware is a little bit different. Like nation states have been using some spyware. Advertisers use spyware, but mostly when I think of spyware, I'm thinking about nation state stuff. We're tracking people and all that. But adware, of course, people probably hit with this, where you get hit with some nasty stuff and you get a lot of ads pop up. All right. The keylogger. What you see is typically you see a combination of different things used for different points at different times. So if I were to talk about this really, a Trojan, these malwares are used at different parts of the attack to me. So let's walk through this a little bit. Now, do they have phases of intrusion? Because I talk about phases all the time, right? What do they have here? You see that right here? So this is pretty good. So I think that the stuff down here is tightly coupled with what we're talking about. Let me try to copy and paste this. I'm going to start here, funny enough. And the reason I'm going to start here is I think that you have to know, I think these phases are very important. So I'm gonna be weird here and I'm gonna jump backwards. So let's do that. So what am I gonna do here? I wanna go over to the Excalidraw thing, that app, and I want to talk about this stuff. If you want to take notes, you might want to take some notes here. I have been putting stuff in here. All right, so let's just go here. Is this escalation of privilege? Was that on a different one? All right, that's all under this bullet. So let's just do this. Hopefully you're taking notes at home. I'm gonna start with Excalidraw, and I'm gonna talk about this stuff. I'm gonna just, as usual, I'm gonna riff a little bit here. So this is actually a bullet as well. How do I get a bullet out of this joint? Can I copy a bullet? Alright, so active reconnaissance. What is active reconnaissance? To me, active reconnaissance is you are actually touching assets that you're trying to hack. Alright, so this active stuff would be like stuff like, it'd be like if you did an Nmap scan, you're sending a packet to the endpoint. And what they can see is they can see if they're paying attention. You know how we did in Wireshark, or you have a packet capture, you can see the person doing that, right? You can talk about vulnerability scans here. If I scan a network, I'm going to be visible. If I ping something, I'm going to be visible. Even if you do stuff like, it's this thing called a DNS, and we might get into this another thing. DNS enumeration is what we call it. This dog is crazy, man. DNS enumeration means that usually I would take a word list and I would try to see if you had. So basically, you're doing all this enumeration, but you're touching their DNS server. And so if you touch their DNS server, DNS, how it works is you have a word list like this. Hey, get out of here now. Go. You start with a word list, and that word list, well, you would try to see if www.foo.com exists. Yeah, you would try to see if. So here's the difference to me between passive And active is, am I doing it or not? Can it be traced back to me? That's how my passive works, right? So basically, if I said the domain was example.com, I could do an Nmap scan of example.com. I could do a vulnerability scan of, and I could ping. I could do DNS enumeration. And how that works is, I want to see what all subdomains mean under here. Now this is where it gets cool to me, because what you can do here is you can do a search for smtp.example.com. You can do a search for ftp.example.com. You can do a search for owa.example.com. So what's cool about this is that, and what's crazy about this is you can go to third-party stuff. You could say example.octa.com. Example github.com. So basically what I'm saying is that you can do enumeration and find out all by doing DNS. Some of these will be seen by example.com. Some of these, there will be a record of these. But still, anytime you actively send packets, now, since you're doing it with a third party, this wouldn't be direct active reconnaissance. It's kind of like you're in a different way. You're not touching them. So this is kind of like borderline. But what I say, GitBub. So these are the kind of things that you would search for. Basically, I think that you probably have a GitHub.io now or something like that. So, but this is what I'm talking about. So if that's how an attacker, the first step of an attack, the first thing that you're doing is you're trying to be super silent, right? You're trying to be, you don't want to touch the target at all, right? What am I doing here? Am I crazy? Oh no, I'm good. So even when you're doing DNS enumeration, you're probably leaving a path, because typically what you would do is, like I just gave you 3 here. Typically you're going to use dictionaries of hundreds, if not thousands, of hosts. Now, if you see somebody enumerating this, by the way, this goes on all the time. There's always somebody enumerating your hosts, right? But you could actually combine that with, like, okay, cool. All these people are enumerating my network. Is there anybody enumerating my network that I should worry about? And that's where there's this stuff called threat intelligence. Is there a bad IP address or some compromised source that I know that exists out there, and they're coming here? Or if I saw the same IP in another place, am I seeing it here? What would be interesting if there's these things called they call them ISACs. Basically, there's these, like a band of retailers, like all the big brands that you know, the Walmarts, the Targets. They all have these ISACs, or ISACs or whatever. And what they do is they actually see the same people over multiple different organizations doing the same thing. So they'll see, so they're sharing information, and they'll know, like, wow, okay, that same person, we saw that same person. Somebody's saying intel sharing here. So that's how that works. But if you're trying to be stealthy, you don't want to be like loud as a mug. And so that's why you have passive reconnaissance. So passive reconnaissance means this. I can do stuff like popular stuff, like you can actually go to Google or Bing and do a lot of stuff. So for instance, if I wanted to, I'm going to do example.com for my example. So if I want to search subdomains for example.com, and you can actually program this, and this is kind of stuff I used to do when I showed you that tool I wrote. You can do -www here. So that'll show me all the domains that are not www, right? Or I could say, it's stuff like, hold on a second, site example.com, maybe that's it, and it doesn't exist. If I did that for let me just say Microsoft or something, right? I'm gonna have to do this because now check this out. I said site Microsoft.com and I said minus www. What it's showing me, this is an easy way to do DNS enumeration without having to run a script, and I'm not touching them directly. You see that? Support. And if I wanted to, I could say, I see a lot of support stuff, so I could take note of that and say minus support. Third party source, experts, tech forum, info, news, docs. And then I can do minus docs, minus MVP, but you see I have tons and tons of things. Let me go all the way to the bottom of this list. And so what attackers do is they'll enumerate these all the way down to see if they can find a weak link somewhere. And the term that they do this is so I actually used to work with this dude. My buddy Johnny Long. What people call this is Google hacking. And that's what they call it. There's this thing called Google Hacking Database that you can go to. And my buddy Johnny used to maintain this, but now ExploitDB maintains it. So you can use this to find open S3 buckets, all kind of crazy stuff. So remember, I'm going to go over some stuff here. Only use your superpowers for good, okay? So that's a term. That's what we used to call it Google hacking. You can call it. You know what? I wonder if my videos are gonna get taken. Somebody said that if you do stuff like this on YouTube, they'll take it down. We'll see. Google Dorks. Somebody told me they're banning hacking videos somewhere. Alright, so that's a form of that. Passive reconnaissance, there's a site called Shodan that you can go to. Shodan.io. There's another website. What's the website that's called like Shodan? Somebody give it to me. There's one just like Shodan that's created by University of Michigan. Oh, Census, that's it. That's a popular one. And I actually know those guys too. Alright, so those sites what you do is you take the information you get from one thing and then have it for another one. I mean, like I said, Google right here, right? Straight up, right? Another resource that you can use for passive reconnaissance is the dang internet time machine. It's the Wayback Machine. So you go here to archive.org, and I'm sure many of you have seen this before. Some of y'all, this may be the first time, right? And you can type in any domain that you want. So, for instance, I use this site all the time, and it's actually good sometimes to find older stuff. So I have a dude I know, he just created a company called firstdollar.com. I'm going to just type this in because I was like, man, how did he get that domain? He just started this company a couple months ago. And so what I did is I just went over here and I was like, wow, I wonder how many. So that domain's been used a lot, and it's been used since here. But what's interesting about this, sometimes people publish stuff to the internet that they don't want. Like they'll publish phone numbers, pricing information, like all kind of information. If you're doing OSINT, and this gets into this thing called open source intelligence. People call this OSINT. You can go in there, you can find out more. Like I can go in here and I type that area and it gives me this, and hopefully it has a snapshot, and hopefully I can see what that snapshot looked like. So back in the day, this would have been a different domain. I'm not getting anything here, but you can trust me. You can go through here, and you'll be able to find stuff. Matter of fact, when we did that thing, when we did that dang snort log thing. This is how we got the snort logs. We got it from the Wayback Machine, because the new HoneyNet doesn't have those on there. But we were able to go to here, and it just replicates those sites. So, Wayback Machine. Also, the Wayback Machine, if it has a recent one, you don't have to be even looking for something way back. If I want to visit a website, but I don't want to go to it directly, I can go to their latest backup, and I won't touch that target, so they won't have a clue. They won't know it's me. So, Wayback Machine. There's a couple of more things like this. There's a lot of resources that archive stuff on the internet. If you wanted to go to their GitHub, for instance, GitHub or GitLab, you can actually, if you know somebody's running something, you can actually do research. Somebody's running WordPress. You can actually do research by going to looking at WordPress code, do all that stuff. Somebody asked me, does the Wayback work with GitHub? I'm not sure. But these are all ways you can do passive reconnaissance. Let me try to get more content. Okay, pivot. And I talked about this before, probably. Why is this thing? Why is this thing stupid? It's being crazy here. Hold on a second. It's not letting me go down any further. It's acting funny. Alright. So pivot. I just have to do this. Alright, so pivoting means once you have access, go to other machines. Have access. I'm gonna say compromise more machines. Alright, so basically this is what people use keyloggers for. Keyloggers. There's this tool called Mimikatz that y'all can check out. It grabs credentials. Both of these, there's tools called Bloodhound is another tool that you can use to find out how you can pivot throughout a network. Initial exploitation. So this is where when you hear a vulnerability, this dog is so persistent. Crazy. Initial exploitation is how they get in. How they initially get in. I'm gonna say something crazy here that y'all might think is crazy. I tell people this all the time. In all the whole world of hacking, what are you doing? That's my grandson. How to take initial exploitation So the initial exploitation is essentially that's the only thing. Oh man, I didn't want to change the whole dang thing, but this one right here, people. This is what you have to. This is the thing that changes all the time. So that's what changes, and the truth is, all this other stuff is the same. It's been the same forever. All this stuff I'm telling you right now, all of it's the same. This is the only thing that changes, and that's facts. So that's why when I say evergreen skills always remain persistent. So so the initial exploit changes, but all this other stuff is pretty much the same all the time. I'm telling you. And that's why you build up skills. So basically, when CVEs come out, oh my gosh, man, stop it. Why does she only care when I'm on here? She don't bother me no other time. She's freaking nuts. Uh, how did it initially get in? And this changes a bit, but it's always the usual suspects. It's always Microsoft. It's always and Microsoft's doing a good job, but it's always the operating systems. The browser has exploits. Adobe Flash, all these. So, but that's the initial exploit. It changes a little bit because it's a different exploit, but somebody put Eternal Blue. I mean, that exploit was in Windows forever, but nobody knew it. So that's what you have to remember. These things change a little bit. Some people try to make this all stuff magical. I think that's because sometimes people don't know what they're talking about. Sometimes I see people on the news and I cringe. And they make this sound harder than it is. Right? Hey, baby, get up. Get up. Get up. Go. Persistence. So this initial exploit, what Marcus says is this doesn't change a lot. Persistence is keeping access on the network. One second. Alright, so this could be a couple of things. This could be creating new accounts for you to log back in at some other point in the future. I heard Roblox. My daughter is on Roblox, and somebody gave somebody an account. That's persistence, and this dude was like had all this access. Creating new accounts, installing rats, remote access tools. Those are two different ways. Creating new accounts, stealing more credentials. Basically, you're going to have access to be persistently on that network. That makes sense? All right, let me try to. I'm gonna try to organize this a little bit. Persistence. All right. Escalation of privileges. What the heck was that? pivot. So escalation of privileges. What that means is that somebody's going to use this. The reason why I'm covering this first is because we covered tools, but we didn't discover what the tools are used for, right? Typically, when it talks about malware typically isn't the initial exploitation. Usually there's an exploit and then there's malware. So malware kind of fits over here. This is where malware fits in my opinion. All that malware, this is where it's at. Persistence. Because the malware, what it does... Oh, my bad. I'm way out. God dang it, man. I'm having a terrible time trying to move this thing tonight. Alright, so malware. This is where malware resides. Because what malware does is it installs itself. It does auto runs on Windows. Startup on... It starts up when machine rebooted, etc. And with the goal of keeping access, stealing more stuff, whatever. With the exception of ransomware, because ransomware at this point, it would encrypt it. And that's how they keep their persistence per se. Wobbuffet says most attacks. Let me put that real quick. This is your phishing attacks. And phishing attacks, usually there's some social engineering there. With some kind of documents or attachments. That's how they get in, and then they put malware and tools to do other stuff. That's how it all works. Alright, escalation of privilege. If you're doing it right, and a lot of people aren't doing it right, sometimes when you compromise something, you'll have a regular user account. Now, to do everything you want to, like install stuff, you need to get to admin or root status. You could probably maybe go to another. It doesn't necessarily mean getting root account, because if you can hop to another privilege, if you can hop to somebody that has different access, you can give more stuff. What does that mean? What person? Hey, Charles Cabbage, what do you say? Urgent, please read. What happened? Oh, my bad. You talking about fishing? You got my attention. See, that's how it works. All right. So here we go. Hey, I got a call the other day. Somebody tried to call me and social engineer me the other day. I had a dude recently try to social engineer me by text messaging too. Yeah, people are trying to attack your boy. All right, black box pen testing is you know nothing about the target. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Right, tell me if I'm nuts. Know nothing about the target. So basically the premise is, hey Marcus, I want you to break into this bank and you don't know anything about their systems, you don't know anything, you just need to get in. A white box would be, I know something, and I'm pretty much, I know something about target. And I know a lot about Target. I'm working with them to help make it better. So white box to me would be like HackerOne. That's like white box testing to me. Some people may disagree. Gray box is a mixture, in my opinion. You know, everything I'm talking about here is probably controversial, and somebody else will have a different way to explain it. All right, so so penetration testing, pen test. Usually, you're trying to. I'm gonna say you're trying to capture a flag, because there's actually, when doing the test, you could have flags like I need to get this thing, right? I need to get privileged access. I need to get root on their domain. So, a pen test, you're trying to break in. You're trying to break in. You're trying to break into something with a concerted effort to do one thing, right? You're trying to get in there, and you're trying to get access, and you're trying to prove that a certain outcome can happen, right? So it's usually a flag. It's usually something that you want to try to get done. You're on a mission. All right. The next thing is VulnScan, and that's what it says versus this. So VulnScan, you're trying to enumerate vulnerabilities, and that's it. Most of the time, this is patch levels, right, of the systems. And you could do, with a web app, you can also do scans on that. A web app can recognize, I would say, bad patterns or bad practices, right? But if on the pen test, if you're pen testing something, you're trying to break into the web app, you're trying to break into this. So with vuln scanning, you're trying to. So basically, a vuln scan can be a network, or it could be a dang web app or something like that. Well, you're just trying to find bad practices, outdated software. But the thing is, you're not going to exploit anything on a vuln scan. You're not going to actually try to break in. You can be like, hey, I think I can break in to this thing, right? Charles Babbage is putting out some stuff. Charles Babbage is putting out articles up in here. Love it. So white box pen testing. I just gave you an example of white box pen testing, right? White box pen testing is like doing that whole threat model and walking through that whole deal, and then trying to see if you can get access to it. So that's a great example of you would start off, hopefully, with a dang threat model, right? Like, these are all the systems you have. This is all it. So you're walking through all that stuff about the target. A black box is people want to see if you can get in without knowing a lot. A white box is the best way to go, 100%. All right, so I like the whole approach where you're working with the team, you're working with them, right? All right, so that's a lot in there. So we covered that 1-4 pretty well, and here's the deal. So what I'll do is I'm gonna go back. This is how they explain it. I'm gonna use this as a reference for everything we do in a little bit. Does that make sense? This is the reference. So when we're talking about stuff, we're gonna use this frame of reference here. I think they should have did this first in their little thing. If you took notes, I'll try to. Yeah, somebody said like the OSM. Yep. So this is the frame of reference here. We're talking about reconnaissance. We're talking about this. We're talking about that. And there's a lot there's tools for this stuff too. So we can actually have a lot. We can have a lot of fun. But I'm going to go over stuff here, and like I said, use your powers for good. All right, so let's go back to here, right? Now, what's cool about the pen test, the pen testing that we just talked about, pen testing concepts, is not only pen testers use this, but everybody uses the same techniques. A pen tester's job is to imitate an attacker, right? And even though in a white box scenario you have a lot of information, in a black box scenario you would not have all the information. So you would have to do exactly what a black hat does. Like, they're doing reconnaissance, they're scanning, they're looking at all that stuff. They're doing exactly, and so everything to me is understanding how somebody's trying to get into your network. I don't care if you call it a pen test or not. How do they come in, and what do they do? So let's go up here. Now, what I'm gonna go. Where's the thing? I saw some activist stuff. All right. So it's all about types of actors. Now going up from here, script kiddies. No matter what you call them, hacktivists, organized crime. Script kiddies are people that I don't know why they script kiddie to me. It's like an insult. It's like saying somebody really don't know what they're doing and they just run a lot of tools, right? A hacktivist, right here. A hacktivist is somebody. This goes to their motivations. Well, So a hacktivist has a motivation to do something for their cause, right? Somebody said anonymous in there. Organized crime in Russia. There's a lot of organized crime in the Ukraine and some of those Eastern European states, and the Nigerian scammers. They're some of those things are organized where they have like sweatshops of hackers in them. Nation states, they either work for the government or they're government contractors. Everybody has nation state hackers. Insiders, the Edward Snowdens of the world. Competitors. What's funny about the competitors thing is like the reason why the National Security Agency exists is to help defend against espionage, period, and like interception of communications. So what's funny is when people go to different countries, some of their intelligence agencies are trying to steal information from anybody, and definitely trying to steal information from American business people and all that. So there's definitely some cases where, if you actually do some searches for Chinese copycats, and where the Chinese will break into, so hackers will break into a factory, like you can name any product, and they'll steal the dang plans for the products, right? So an insider threat is somebody that works for a company, but that person is pretty much stealing from the company or giving access to someone else. A great example is Robux. Robux, they had somebody gave somebody access, and a person was able to access all these accounts, have privileged information. They could just give them the keys to the castle. So my reference for insider threat, the biggest one that anybody's ever heard, is Edward Snowden. That was the insider. He stole information from the NSA and leaked it, supposedly. So competitors, if you go into foreign countries, France is notorious for it, Japan does it, they will steal information from you and they will give it to their companies. Because definitely in some of these, countries, since if you're a socialist country where the nation state owns the businesses as well, they use the information in all kind of cool ways. By the way, I admire that they that they have this, that they're so organized. I'll tell you a couple examples. There was like 3 or 4 railroad companies that they're building public transportation, and they were bidding on these Chinese contracts, and China let them in. And basically, all of the companies got hacked before they came in, and the Chinese already had their proposals, knew how much they were bidding, knew the cost of their products. They knew all the deals in their pipeline. They knew everything about these companies inside and out because they had somebody hack them before they came over. So that's pretty amazing that they could, that they're smart as a mug. And so that's crazy to me. But that's how it works. And that's what the competitors, every country is competing against each other. So attributes of hackers. So this is where internal versus external, and what I take about that is it talking about how you have these internal actor versus external. It talks about level of sophistication. You know what? So I don't think I struggle. Here's the level of sophistication argument. I got a buddy. One of my buddies is one of the best malware guys I know, and he tells me that what attackers do is they attack you to the sophistication of your capabilities defensively. So what they do is the attackers, like these nation state beast mode attackers, what they'll do is they'll hit you with some malware, and the malware can be totally trivial and easy to stop. So they'll take note and it's like, all right, boom, if we're attacking that network, we know this much about them. So, but they're always getting information, so they'll know what domains you're running, your Active Directory. They're mapping your network out each time. Like, all right, cool, boom, here's the domain controller, here's the domain they're on, and then all right, I eradicated that malware. Then what the attacker does is he takes a step up. They take a step up to the next thing. And sometimes what they do is they'll take multiple strains of malware as well. We're talking about the sophistication. So the attacker is just going to keep one step ahead of the defense. They're not going to throw 0 days. They're not going to do all that stuff. If you suck, they're not going to hit you with the hard stuff. And they're going to hit you with several different things. So if you detect this, they still have this running. If you detect that, then they have, y'all sophisticated. Y'all found that. All right, boom. Now we're going to throw some stuff in registry. Or now we're going to do this. Now we're going to, that's how the attackers work. And so you can tell how good your security is by the malware that you're catching. Hopefully that makes sense. Resources and funding. It doesn't take a whole lot of resources actually to hack people. Funding, I tell the story about my buddy. One of my buddies is one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. Right? He's from China. He's a Chinese citizen from China, proper China, not Taiwan. Right? So this dude is an absolute beast. My man, he won't be watching this probably, but this is my guy. Smart as a mug. So he's Chinese proper, and he went to one of the top colleges in China, and he was like number 3 in the class. So this dude is like beast mode, security dude. He did a CCIE. This dude is like so freaking smart, right? This is my guy. So when he grew up, he ate rice. He didn't eat rice. He had to eat grass growing up. You know what I'm saying? So grass, they didn't have food, and his wife was super smart too. She came over and studied at University of Maryland, and he immigrated to the United States, but he actually does live. He moves back. He has a business in China and stuff now too. He's a really smart dude, right? But when he grew up, he was dirt poor, but he was a genius. So this dude is smart as a mug. And so what he did is he came to the States, but a lot of his classmates could not have the privilege of moving to the States. And what I'm saying, there's people like this in China, Russia, the Ukraine. Some of these people are so freaking smart at computers, it's amazing, right? And they're smart, but they don't have the economy that they don't have the resources in some cases, right? Here's the deal. Those people, those smarter than smart people, and like I said, I worked at Fort Meade myself. I just think of a lot of my boy. I think my boy Chan. That's my boy name. I can think of Chan, and I can think of like a room full of Chans, and they're dedicated to hacking some U.S. thing. You know what I'm saying? Like a whole room of my boys attacking some resource, some company that has like 2 or 3 security people. Bruh, it ain't even fair. And just think, China got that, Russia got that. Heck, we got it. We got some smart people. But I'm gonna tell you what, my boy Chan is a beast. So I'm like, God damn, you got a lot of Chans over there. So what do you want to do? You want to eat rice? I'm not rice. You want to eat grass? Or you want to go over here and break into these computers over here? What do you want to do? You know what I'm saying? What you gonna do? So you got a whole bunch of Chans over there, beast mode. Like they doing, and what they do, what these nation state actors do, they work in 24-hour shifts of hacking around the corner, hacking around the clock. They're hacking you around the clock. So while you go home and you come back to your office, they didn't got busy on your network the whole night. So I knew this thing. This is so funny. So there was this company that the Chinese totally owned their network up and down. They didn't realize it. The reason why they realized that their network was compromised was because their bandwidth slowed down so much during the day. So the Chinese hackers that were on their network, these guys were so they were so brazen because nobody saw anything they were doing. And it was a big company. They were taking so much information off their network. So basically, when they were complaining to their service provider, oh, we paying for all this bandwidth and we don't got no bandwidth, right? And so when they did, when they finally looked it up, they was like, well, you have all this traffic going to China. So they were stealing so much traffic that that yeah. So the Chinese were hacking their network. Every day the Chinese was what they were doing is they were taking all the data and they were roaring it up and compressing it, and they were just shipping it out. So yeah, so resources and funding. So there's people that are working for organized institutions over there, and these institutions are like our government contractors, right? And it's even more shady in like Russia, where it's mobsters and oligarchs that have these sweatshops going, where they're just hacking all the time. So and over there, you know, as long as you're supporting the regime, you good. You feel me? So that's intent, motivation. That's when I think of these actors. Some of these people are poor. You know what I'm saying? Like some of these people, they're living baller lifestyles over there. You can see some of the criminals, and some of these Eastern European criminals. They're balling out. Nice cars, the whole nine, big houses. That's the motivation. Like my boy Lil Wayne said, the money is the motive. Mess with the money, it get ugly like coyote. So they about this money. They trying to get paid. So the use of open source intelligence. Open source intelligence. I kind of showed y'all a little bit about this. The use of OSINT is that you can get a lot of information without, So let me tell you, man. Intel, the whole Intel game, the whole intelligence game, most of it's open source. The difference between, because everything truly is open, right? So the difference between a professional intelligence person and some, person on the internet saying they're an OSINT person, the difference is that typically the real intelligence person has more access to more stuff, access to more information, has access to more stuff, may have language assets, may have all that stuff. It would be really easy to, if you had a budget, it would be easy to build like an intelligence outfit. Super easy. Because you just got to, it's, if you could put money into it, intelligence is super easy. And most intelligence is open source. That means local newspapers, local this, local that. If you have access to all that stuff, you're gonna have good intelligence. Even intelligence agencies put out a bunch of good information. I mean, CIA puts out information on countries. NSA. I'm like, this stuff is they put it out and it's out in the open. You feel me? So. But yeah, so it's quite interesting to me. Everything is open source intelligence to me. It depends on if you're good or not. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think about open source intelligence. There's a lot of information out there, and if you're smart, you can put the information together. A good example of that is like, you remember that I showed y'all that tool I wrote and all that. It's just basically extrapolating all the information and just putting it together in a nice package. So when I was in the Navy, I was a CT. We used to have these people called ISs, intelligence specialists. They used to take all the raw data, all the stuff, all the reports, all the stuff. They used to read them, declassify them down to a certain level, and then they used to brief the rest of the ship. So they would come into our little space. We show him all the reports, talk to him, boom, 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 and then okay, and then he would declassify. This is like a process you go to. So that's the only thing. All the intel agencies, all that stuff, what they have on the regular civilian is they got money, and they can pay people to be in different countries. They can pay people that speak different languages. They can pay people to do all that stuff. and they have the capability, and they don't reveal the sources, but they have the capability to put out that intelligence stuff. So it's actually quite interesting to me. But I see civilians trying to do it. I see civilians trying to do it a lot. And when I say civilians, I people that aren't in the IC, people on that, and some of them are really good at doing what they do. And some of the agencies buy their product. So it is 100% legit. If you were really good at open source intelligence, you probably could sell your intelligence to government agencies, for sure. But anyway, that's my rant on that. And I'm pretty passionate about this security stuff and hacking and intelligence and all this stuff. So we're just getting started here. So what we have here? Do terms 1.1 and 1.2. We do have a shared document. I need to partner up. I'm thinking about. I'm trying to. So I want to do these. I want y'all to like look through these things yourself, and I do want to compile a high level document too at the same time. But I want you, each one of y'all, go through these terms on your own to try to understand what they're doing. Okay? That sound good? So the terms are 1.1, 1.2. I just walked through 1.3 and 1.4, so it should be pretty easy money if y'all have to Monday to do this. Or y'all have to next Tuesday to do this. So let's do that. Let's do 1.1 through 1.4 on the Security Plus. That makes sense? Do all of them. I pretty much basically we're gonna be on 1.5 next class. I just covered 1.3 and 1.4. Right. So we're gonna start on 1.5 Tuesday. All right, everybody. I'm about to bounce. I appreciate y'all for showing up. Y'all stay safe out there. And hopefully y'all enjoying this content. Y'all good? Any questions? All right, I appreciate y'all. Y'all take care. Stay safe. I'll see y'all Tuesday. Peace.